if you could set this woman up for success, for health through her life, what would that look like?
I mean, starting from children, right? Youth. I think there is something so special about talking to girls, so young women, about their performance, not in a way of aesthetics and how they look, but how what they put in their body is going to help them and how powerful they're going to be, and encouraging women to stay in sports and to keep doing those things, not from an aesthetic lens, but what else it will bring into your life. So I think from the younger age, it is more about the intention behind our conversation with girls and how we're speaking towards things like working out and fueling and how that can empower them versus what it's going to make them look like.
Hmm.
And then when it gets to women of menstruating age, not pregnant women, that is really about putting on as much lean muscle mass as possible to best set you up before perimenopause and menopause. And so that is resistance training. That is true high intensity intervals. That is preparing your body for success from a metabolic standpoint, but also just a moving well standpoint, having the mobility and stability requirements that you need to go perform your best. And then when we get into perimenopause, menopause, that's really looking at setting yourself up for success from a central nervous system standpoint. We know like things of consequence happen at speed. So whether you're slipping and falling, you need to be able to react to that. And when you start to lose estrogen, that is heavily correlated with your actin and myosin filaments and how you create muscular contraction. So as you get older, if you're not doing that heavy, powerful lifting, you could slip and fall and hurt yourself, and that's not going to set you up for success even later into being elderly. So it's just always looking at not only the mindset aspect, the performance aspect, but how you're going to be able to go show up your best, do all the things that you love to do, and not have your physical inabilities get in the way.
Yeah. Yeah. I love this. This is great. Okay. So I'm having a flashback of me. Well, yeah, I went to an all girls high school and PE was always a sensitive subject, was always really challenging, I suppose, to be able to. This is where we really noticed that divide between girls who liked, moving or playing sport and the girls who really didn't want to, or who felt like because they maybe weren't good at sport, that really wasn't for them. And, menstruation played a huge part in it. Even then, girls would be getting their period and being like, nah, I can't play sport. I can't do this. So perhaps maybe let's talk about what happens in that menstruation and kind of maybe why people might feel like I've got my period, I don't want to do anything, or I don't feel like moving. What happens there?
Yeah, I think there's it's so taboo to talk about. And where I grew up in the US, in Kansas, the Midwest, I remember, I don't know about you, but we had one class. It was like a day in fifth grade where they split up the boys and the girls. And like the girls went and learned about their periods. And I don't still to this day know what the boys learned about. That will be a mystery, but it was very like hush hush. And we got little like pamphlets and like a bag with like a pad and a tampon in it. And they were like, good luck, have fun. And it was kind of this thing of like some of my friends had it, some didn't. But I think it was just so not talked about. And then a lot of women get into sports or like dance, gymnastics, and instantly maybe go on birth control to try to like have control over their cycle or regulate that. And it was almost this badge of honor. I grew up as a dancer. It was almost this badge of honor if you didn't get your period or you lost your period, because this there was just this feeling around like, oh, you must be working really hard that you don't have a period. Like you must be so lean, and that's like a sign of hard work. And so I don't know, it was just such a cool thing to not have it, not talk about it, like, oh, I don't have to deal with that. And almost became like a competitive nature, at least in dance, and I know in gymnastics too. So ultimately, I think it comes down to it's not talked about enough. The detriment of low energy availability and not having enough fuel coming in and losing your period wasn't really talked about. It was just very hush hush. And so for women that struggled with that, or girls that struggled with that, or maybe had heavy bleeding and didn't understand their symptoms, probably made them not want to do sports altogether. They were like, I'd rather just avoid it instead of feeling uncomfortable. So I think the more we can talk about it, the more we can
Mm,
educate women, the better they're going to be and hopefully stay in sports, because we know that has so many benefits, regardless if you go play professionally, but just in your work ethic, your tenacity, your movement ability as you get older. A lot of women who played sports growing up are now CEOs of companies. I don't know the exact statistic there, but I've read something along the lines of like women who played sports turn out to be really great. Period.